Tokenization on the XRP ledger has been heating up all year long, with major announcements and developments happening to ensure that the XRP ledger is becoming a crucial piece of the on-chain economy. When it comes to the XRP ledger right now, we have over $364 million tied to tokenized value. This is up about 13% in the last 30 days. And then on top of that, stablecoin value also up 38% at about $277.5 million. We've been watching these stats extremely close because, again, when it comes to tokenization, we know that we are still in the infancy stages of tokenization, and we know that this is going to be worth trillions on top of trillions of dollars. And the biggest thing that I want you all to understand is that these types of networks like the XRP ledger are going to become crucial pieces, and they are also going to be worth trillions of dollars. No, that is not a selling point. No, that is not a click, bait title or anything like that. It's the fact that the XRP ledger will 100% be worth trillions of dollars. We know that this is true simply by the amount of money getting targeted from tokenization, but also the names in which are adopting the XRP ledger or even XRP through Ripple initiatives. Now, when it comes to that, let's take a quick look down on the bottom here of just what's happening in the last 30 days. Some of the largest gainers so far was Economy. That's about $30 million. Circle up about 36%. This is just a stable coin with USDC. Ondo was up about 33, almost 34%. This is at 40.4 million. And then also Open Eden is up about 9.5% at about $84 million. Some of the largest gainers over the last 30 days have been, for example, like the T-bill through Open Eden, or even, for example, Vert as well, because again, Vert has been growing significantly as well over the last couple weeks. So we love to see that. I mean, overall, the values here on the XRP ledger are starting to gain a lot of traction. Now, the asset classes as well as the issuers, you could see all of this just by looking on the list here. But the main thing that I want to focus on here is the asset classes, right? We already have US treasuries, we have stablecoins, we have private credit, we have stocks and real estate, but there's going to be a lot more tied back to this, especially as we do start to see the tokenization space start to develop out a little bit more. And of course, this does come with regulations as well. And we already know that the SEC and the CFTC are working on that, which is also going to enable a lot more value to hit some of these public networks. And right now, the public network space is about $18.14 billion. When it comes to XRP, we stand at about roughly number 10 here. Probably going to move up the list very soon, especially as more and more value starts to hit the XRP ledger. So, again, pretty good standing for XRP. Now, talking about a few developments, we did see an update from Whale Insider, and this goes back to the 22nd of September, where we have just in the XRP ledger roadmap includes multi-purpose token for native asset support, lending protocol, and zero knowledge privacy. Now, the first one is the biggest one to focus on, the multi-purpose token. Why is that? Well, because that just got activated. That's right. We have over here from vet_x0. The new token standard multi-purpose tokens just got activated on the XRP ledger. Let the tokenization of everything enter the next stage. Now, for anyone that was wondering what MPTs are, or this multi-purpose token standard, what this is, it's a new standard to ensure that institutional players have everything they possibly need to enable tokenization at scale. The fact that the XRP ledger now has this is such a huge game changer. We have over here from Ripple XDev, the multi-purpose token white paper is now live. Download the white paper here, which I do have it over here as well. Now, I didn't download it, but they kind of give us a little bit of a breakdown around the MPTs, but I also have a lot of information to go over with this anyways. But MPTs are a new token standard on XRP ledger built to meet the practical needs of developers and institutions. MPTs embed metadata and compliance features directly into the standard, giving issuers a simple way to create and manage assets. No custom contracts, no wasted cycles. The future of asset tokenization, a new token standard for institutional grade finance on the XRP ledger. For businesses, this means faster time to market, reduced operating risk, and easier integration with existing systems. For the XRP ledger, it means more real-world assets secured on a chain built for reliability, speed, and predictable settlement. And then, of course, we do have read the white paper to learn more about how MPTs are created with compliance controls built in. For an example, we have KYC and AML. Issuers can enforce this. freeze or clawback assets if required, add metadata like bond terms or reserve attestations, manage distribution securely with multi-sig and escrow, which, by the way, if we're thinking about all of this, guess what? Those big use cases, those big asset classes that we want to target, all of this is extremely important to have in place. And we have here that this standard was developed with real business needs at the center, researching and engagement with institutions shaped features that make tokenization practical and ready to scale. If global liquidity is going to connect on chain, these are the tools that must be in place. It's the blueprint for managing digital assets with speed, security, and why MPT is set to become a go-to standard for financial operations powered by the XRP ledger. And on top of that, yeah, we do have the full breakdown over here. We have why financial developers choose the XRP ledger as an RWA tokenization platform, which we have it already there. And then down here, we do have the breakdown on MPTs. And again, when it comes to MPTs, I want you guys to understand that this will change the entire game for tokenization on the XRP ledger. This is going to enable a lot of those big use cases that we've talked about for, so long now. It's been ongoing for about, I want to say like 3 years, maybe even just 2 years or so, but we've been talking about it for quite some time. And again, when we're thinking about all of these features, this might not be important to a lot of us, but when it comes to issuers and, these institutional players that want to tokenize, all of this is extremely important. And talking more so about that, a great post that I saw come up on my timeline, and this is from an engineer at Ripple. This is Kenny Z. Lay. I hope that I'm saying that name correctly. The multi-purpose token standard is now live on the XRP Ledger mainnet. It's a new native token standard designed to make issuing real-world assets on chain far simpler, safer, and more aligned with how financial institutions operate. Unlike most token standards, MPT isn't built with custom smart contracts. It's embedded directly into the protocol. That means every token issued on the XRP ledger can include built-in features for compliance control metadata without adding layers of code or risk. Why does this matter? Most institutions exploring tokenization today face the same friction: security audits, bespoke contract logic, regulatory uncertainty. MPTs removes a lot of that overhead by handling core requirements natively at the ledger level. Some of the capabilities issuers now have out of the box is KYC and AML authorization and allow list, issuer-defined transfer rules and restrictions, freeze and clawback functions, on-chain metadata for reporting and disclosure, and then multi-signature and delegated key management. With these built-in controls, financial instruments can now be represented more accurately on chains, things like bonds with coupon schedules, share classes with investor eligibility rules, or stablecoins with recovery mechanisms. It's also a significant step forward for broader use cases such as fractionalized real-world assets, tokenized money market funds, closed-loop loyalty tokens, and on-chain collateral for institutional DeFi. All become easier to launch and integrate. MPTs are core building blocks for institutional DeFi. They'll underpin vault share issuance in the lending protocol, unlock seamless secondary market activity with MPT DEX, and support future confidential MPTs that enable privacy-preserving transfers. MPT offers a protocol-level upgrade that makes the XRP ledger more useful for regulated finance while still staying true to its principles: simple, efficient, and built for utility. And one thing that I want you guys to all focus on is this is all priming the XRP ledger for institutional DeFi, which we already know that Ripple has been talking about this for so long, for about roughly, I would say, over a year now. It's like a year and a half. They've been addressing institutional DeFi on the XRP ledger because that's the next phase. And one thing that we did hear about was from David Schwartz. We have over here, Ripple CTO breaks down tokenization role in the on-chain economy. And this is all regarding MPTs and the roadmap to institutional DeFi. And it's all through this on-chain economy series. I do have the video over here. It's a little bit lengthy. It's about a minute and a half, but check it out. I'm telling you guys, you won't regret listening into this.
Tech is coming for finance with or without blockchain. That was going to happen. New corporates, companies like Amazon and Uber need more financial services than the current system is able to provide them. And the blockchain technologies are in the right place at the right time. I'm David Schwartz, CTO at Ripple and co-creator of the XRP Ledger. I do think that DeFi, broadly speaking, meaning blockchain, smart contracts, and the whole ecosystem that's being built around it, is going to take a huge bite out of TradFi over the next couple of years. The big challenge is the blockchain space is going to have to produce the services that people want from the financial system. It can't just be collectibles, and it can't just be, seeking very high reward at very high risk. But I do think that we are going to see the DeFi space, especially with the tools that institutional adoption is going to provide, with assets to things like tokenized real world assets, tokenized loan and real estate portfolios. That's going to produce the products and services that people want out of a financial system. I don't think there's a tension between institutional adoption and decentralization. I think that ecosystems are interested in layer one blockchains because of their decentralization, because of their neutrality. So I think institutions will see that the neutrality of blockchains is a positive for them rather than a negative, because I think ultimately that will be the selling point. And I think that's all going to lead to just massive expansion and growth in the space.
And that's exactly what's happening right now, is we're priming these networks for the next stage, which is institutional DeFi at scale. All of these use cases that we talk about on a day-to-day basis, when we think about derivatives moving on chain, or tokenizing stocks and all of these funds and bonds and treasuries, I mean, all of this stuff is moving on chain. We can see it here on just the left side. The market itself is expanding rapidly. We're at $31+ billion now, almost $32 billion. This market is only going to continue to grow more and more. Projected to reach $16+ trillion within the next 5 years. I think that value could significantly increase as well as things start to, accelerate in a big way. But the main thing that we're focused on here is, of course, the XRP ledger and what Ripple is doing. We know Ripple has been working with some of the biggest names already. Some of the names recently include, of course, BlackRock, VanEck, all through Securitize, which, by the way, Securitize is backed by Morgan Stanley and BlackRock. And then also on top of that, we just got the big update with DBS Bank and Franklin Templeton. I mean, this happened in a span of a week apart. So if we're thinking about what's happening here, yes, the next phase is institutional DeFi on the XRP ledger at scale. We have here credit, compliance, and confidentiality. And this is where this video from David Schwartz is actually included. Here it is, right? But the main thing that we're looking at here are the key highlights. So XRP and the XRP ledger has entered the top tier of institutional DeFi with 1 billion plus monthly stablecoin volume and top 10 RWA activity. Credentials and deep freeze are now live, strengthening compliance for institutional players. On top of that, the upcoming native lending protocol will unlock low-cost compliant credit markets at the protocol level. Zero-knowledge proofs are in development to balance privacy, compliance, and scalability. With lending compliance, programmability, and tokenization converging, the XRP ledger is emerging as a leading chain for institutional finance. And this is something that I want you all to understand. This is why I keep saying that the XRP ledger is becoming a crucial piece of the institutional on-chain economy, because again, we see all of the announcements that have happened so far this year. Even when it comes to Ripple acquiring some of these companies like Hidden Road, that's 300 plus top tier institutional players that are now exposed to what Ripple is doing, especially with the XRP ledger, which if we're thinking about what they're doing, well, everything's moving on chain. The XRP ledger and XRP are right at the center point from what Ripple is trying to do here. Even when we think about, tokenizing RWAs, we know on Ripple's website, when you go to tokenization, the XRP ledger is spotlighted. Again, I don't think people realize that everything that we're now witnessing, this roadmap, this complete roadmap, just taking a quick look at this roadmap itself. Let me zoom in real quick so that you guys can see. We're at Q3 right now. We just got MPTs. The MPT DEX integration is happening in Q4 of this year, on top of the lending protocol, right? Which, by the way, the lending protocol is going to be happening towards the end of this quarter. And then in Q4, we do have the LiveNet Explorer lending protocol objects. And then in Q1 of 2026, we get confidential transfers, smart escrows, atomic swaps, and sponsored fees and reserves. All of this stuff that we have seen so far this year around the XRP ledger features are all building towards institutional DeFi. This is full-on evolution of the underlying network. This is showing us that the XRP ledger continues to get upgraded and built upon to ensure that it is able to get targeted and utilized for these major use cases. I'm telling you guys right now, When it comes to mass institutional grade adoption, which will also lead to mass retail adoption, it's happening around the XRP ledger. We are starting to see everything built in to ensure that this becomes a reality on the XRP ledger. So I'm very excited about this. I think that the MPT is a game changer in terms of a standard, especially at a time where tokenization is starting to really heat up in a big way. And it feels as if we're at that turning point for the entire market, especially when it comes to XRP. So I'm very excited about the future here. I'm definitely locked in on what Ripple is doing, especially with these roadmaps around institutional DeFi, because this is probably going to be one of the biggest game changers around XRP going forward. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.